And another tragedy affecting mining and huge questions being asked about how this could happen. Mineral Resource and Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe addressing the media at Impala Platinum in Rustenburg after 11 mine workers died. We cross live to that.
The nature of the disaster here is very similar with the Vaal Reefs disaster. Which happened in Vaal Reefs some years ago, because once a cage gets involved, it normally translates into a disaster. We have 11 people dead, we're mourning them, we sympathize with the families. Impala has committed to work with the families and work with the department. We avoided getting into the details and say, what happened and who did this and all that, because as you see that I'm sitting with the Chief Inspector of Mines, his responsibility will be to lead an investigation into the disaster. And all parties must protect themselves from giving evidence now. But it is quite a sad incident. It ended our effort to move towards zero harm in the industry. You remember that in 2022 we reduced the number of fatalities to 49. That was the lowest number. We're on the track to there. We were at 41 and then there was this disaster. 2023 is lost. We'll start from where we have been and move on. We're hoping that we'll continue investing in improving health and safety in the mine. People must go to work, come back alive. That is what we want to see. So that is where we are. We've done inspection in local. We've seen exactly what happened. They said this is what tripped and this is what tripped. They can give that information if they want to. But they must be careful that when they are cross-examined in the investigation, they must be able to explain it in details. But it is a disaster. That's it.
Thank you, Minister. Comments from Impala?
Yes, thank you.
Talk to the machine.
I'm not used to these machines, Minister.
You're not used.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Just for the record, my name is Advocate Thandi Olaine, and I am the chairman of Implats. I am here with my colleagues, the head of, on the board, the chairman of the Health and Safety Committee, as well as the CEO, Mr. Nico Muller, the head of Rustenburg Impala, Moses, as well as our COO, Patrick. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the minister has said that this is a disaster, which we agree with. But we not only say it's a disaster as the Implats family, this is a tragedy for us. We have lost 11 lives. That is 0 lives too many. We have been working with the Minerals Council, with the department, with everybody to the road to zero harm. And it is our commitment as a company to continue on that road. Secondly, as the minister has said, the investigation is to take place. We are cooperating with the department, with the chief inspector, as well as our major stakeholders, the trade union, AMCU, who have been here with us since last night when this was discovered that it is a disaster. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be working, we are going to be communicating, and we are transparent to make sure that others can learn from these lessons. And so that when we move forward as a country, we are a mining country. We make sure that we can reach zero harm. We believe it is possible. It requires hard work, it requires collaboration and cooperation, and this is what at Implats we are committed to. Thank you.
Thank you. We can move to questions. We'll take one
at a time. One at a time.
Please introduce yourself, your name, and the next time we'll be presenting. We'll start here.
Okay, my name is Dr. Gwede Mantashe from ESCA. We've been speaking to some of the family members. We want to understand from the mine side as to whether have you managed to contact all the family members of the people who have perished and also those who have been injured. Where are those people who have been injured at this point in time? And in terms of the identification of the 11 people, when is that going to happen? And the other question is about safety issues. We've been speaking to unions who are saying that safety is a serious concern, mainly because not so long, I think 2 or a year ago, where here at Impala, where there was an accident that claimed lives. What is it that you are doing in terms of your machinery? Because they are saying at this day and age, this is uncalled for. We should be, taking care of your machinery. Your response.
Thank you very much. I will just give a few remarks and hand over to my CEO and the executive team. Condolences to all the families who have lost loved ones. And we are together with those families and our employees who have been injured in this tragic disaster. Your first question regarding our communication with the families. Our people are already on communicating in person with all the families who have lost their loved ones, who have been our employees. So we take that very seriously. We have also offered services to our staff and anybody else who they have close friends in the mines. They live with other people. So we are engaged with all our employees. The services are available. We've got our doctors here in the room who are managing the whole disaster in relation to human life and the people who have passed on. So I am going to hand over to my CEO. Nico, you may want to come here, or they may move.
Come here, Nico. No, let Nico come here. Come here, Nico. Nico, come here.
Good morning, colleagues. And first of all, our absolute condolences to every person injured and every person who's lost their life in our house this morning. As a mining company, we will take full accountability. This is our business, it's our employees, it's our family, and we will endeavor to be as transparent to all stakeholders involved, including the media, in giving full disclosure as we navigate through this absolute horrific human tragedy. So just as a departure point, with regards to safety and health and where it features in our business, it is an absolutely fundamental cornerstone of our business, and we do not believe in producing a single ounce if it cannot be produced safely. We have been very public about the very intensive investment, the capital investment program that we have been initiating, that we were able to do as a consequence of the good fortunes that we had over the last few years. And I think if you look at specifically the intensity of our sustained business capital, which relates to infrastructure, you will see that particularly at the lease area, you will see a very aggressive investment strategy, and it is particularly to protect the integrity of equipment. In the event of a failure, we will make sure that we do not leave a single stone unturned to find out what the cause is and to prevent reoccurrence. As a consequence of this incident, the Chief Operating Officer and CEO of Impala made a deliberate decision to stop every winding operation at Rustenburg until we are able to determine the failure that caused this accident, and until we are able to provide assurance that no possibility exists of repeating this at any other part of the business. With regards to the employees that have been injured, there were 86 employees that were affected in total. Of them, everyone, as the Minister said, has been brought to surface. 75 of those employees have been admitted to hospital, and of them, there are 10 that are in critical care. One employee has been airlifted to Mill Park, and the other 9 are in ICUs in regional hospitals in the area. We will endeavour to walk the path with all of the employees, colleagues, and in particular the family and friends of the employees that have been impacted. We are in communication. Typically in a situation like this, we bring the family to the operation. We provide counsel. Our HR team will look at the mental health, the trauma that colleagues go through, and we will make sure that we walk the path with our employees. Thank you.
I've got a question for the Minister and Impala. On your side, Minister, what kind of investigation would you like to see to get to the bottom of this incident? Any recommendation in terms of what kind of investigation must be in place? Any time frames in terms of you getting the report or valid information beyond the we've had today so far? As far as the matter is concerned, what steps are you taking practically after this incident to ensure that this doesn't happen again? I understand that you've halted operations so far and you have invested in safety measures, but now this has happened. Any additional measures that the company is taking to ensure that you have even stricter measures of safety in place?
Okay, on the investigation, I want to start off by taking ourselves and put our feet on the ground. The mining industry is a difficult sector. It's a dangerous sector. It's a dirty sector, and it's a diseased sector. When we get into mining, we understand that. And that's why I'm going to give the Chief Inspector of Mines to answer your question of the time frames of the investigation. But I want us to avoid a situation of when there's a disaster in a mine, with that we whip up emotions around that issue, because it is not a helpful exercise. We have seen a number of disasters in the industry. The biggest is Coalbrook, 1960, followed by Kinross, 1986, followed by Valreefs, followed by St. Helena. You can give the list of disasters. And we have been working on improving the safety, and will continue doing so. There will be investigation. It is part of the requirements prescribed by law to investigate disasters and accidents in the mining industry. But on the formula and the time frame, I will give the Chief Inspector of Mines time to respond.
Thank you, Minister. And thank you, and good afternoon. I'd like to also make those acknowledgements that were made earlier. Yes, indeed, our sincere condolences to the families, to the loved ones, to the mine workers who have been affected by this terrible tragedy, as Tandy has clearly indicated. Yes, in terms of the provisions of the Mine Health and Safety Act, if such an accident happens, we are obligated by the law as a department to investigate. So we'll put together a team made of various specialties, and we work together with organized labor. We'll work together with management. We'll also work together with the affected workers and families to really understand what has caused this particular accident. We'll actually strive to ensure that it's done timely. We normally strive to ensure that they are done within 3 months, but thereafter there is a process that ensues of us conducting an inquiry. Now, an investigation is to really understand what are the root causes of the accident, including the basic causes of the accident itself. So how we do it, we do an in-local inspection, and we partly have started with this earlier on. We have our inspectors who come also to gather information, working together with organized labor, management, and the employees who were involved. However, we have to respect the fact that there's a number of employees who are still in hospital and who have been heavily affected by this accident. So we'll have to give them an opportunity to recover, and also for counseling to happen to those employees, including everyone that involved, also the families. And thereafter, then we then move into the inquiry space. Thank you, Minister.
Good afternoon, Mr. from the SABC News. Firstly, I just want us to highlight for Impala, it seems that mine safety concerns have been raised by mine workers previously. Some other concerns raised by Benchmark is that the employee conveyance has been cited as a major issue to focus on, and then the situation was left to lead to this dire incident that we see. And then, Minister, some say that maybe some of these incidents continue to happen because we don't hold mining companies accountable for such tragedies and fatalities. And then back to Impala, what do we say about the greater consequences? Because even your share price has plummeted by 6%. Are you not worried that there will be more dire repercussions following?
Let me give Impala first.
So, there's been a number of questions, and let's work through them systematically. The first point is I would like to provide our 100% assurance that we work very closely with our employees, and to the extent that safety issues are raised, and we have various platforms in the company that allows for us to exchange ideas, that there is never a case where those issues are not addressed. Clearly, we have not been 100% foolproof, and we had the failure in a man conveyance system in the shaft. So let me just say firstly where we are in the process. When the incident happened at 6 o'clock last night, our full effort initially has been in securing the injured employees and taking care of those that have been affected. Our rescue operations started at 6 o'clock last night, and by 7 o'clock this morning we were able to clear all employees impacted out of the underground workings. The next step of the process was to, with a multi-representative team like we have today with the department, unions, management, board members, to at least to get, as Minister said, a look and feel of what transpired. On conclusion of this initial process, we will then get involved in a full examination to understand the root cause of the failure. That is critical not only to prevent reoccurrence, but we operate in South Africa so many vertical shafts that rely on similar systems that control winders and the operation of rock and winders, man winders in our shafts. So it is to identify the cause that, notwithstanding the existing safety protection systems, how even in spite of its presence we can have a failure. And so again, I want to commit the company to being transparent in its assessment, to be fully committed to resolve the issue and to prevent a reoccurrence at any of the existing operations that we have.
Thank you for your question. Those are the questions we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Speaking as chairman of the board and representing that structure here is to make sure that the issues that we engage with on a strategic level, and when we approve the budgets to ensure the safety of our people, that we have confidence in them. We have confidence in the integrity. And as Nico has said, we recently approved huge budgets to ensure that the issues that bedevil us are dealt with. You've raised the issue about the matters raised by employees. Of course, employees work here. They see the issues. They are the people who engage with them. So for us, it's not surprising. We engage with them on a day-to-day basis. The teams are here. The executives are here. And that is the culture that is being cultivated for employees to raise issues so that those issues can be addressed. And all this is the journey of working together. The minister can confirm where we're coming from in the mining sector. And I believe in the last 30 years, a lot of work has been done to collaborate and cooperate. So it is a journey. And we thank you for coming here so that the country and the world can understand where we are. Thank you.
You're from the SABC? Okay. Let me just explain that. You know, when there is a disaster or an accident, my background is in the trade union movement. Okay, that's my background. It's an opportunity for a trade union to raise its voice and raise issues. But it will be foolhardy to believe that it's because the minister doesn't care, he doesn't keep companies responsible of their actions. That will be foolhardy. That's not how it works. That's why when there's an accident, you do an investigation, you do an inquiry, and the scientific outcome of that process is acted upon. And what we will not do, the benchmark you can tell them, because you speak for them as well, you can tell them, we don't just sit in an office and decide, let's take so-and-so and put him in prison. It can't work that way. That will be a strange society that works that way. But when there are processes and those processes are followed properly, those processes will give you results that you can act on. That's how it works. And it is the right way to do it. That's why over the years, working together with business, with trade unions, number of fatalities in the industry have come down. That's why in 2022 we had 49 fatalities. We are moving towards zero harm. And we can only achieve that when we work together. When there is a disaster like this one, we'll pay attention to it and draw lessons out of it. What we're not going to do is to stand up on tables and shout about it. We don't campaign over disasters and accidents. That's not what the department does.
Yeah, I'm Dwachai from Rustenburg. My first question is directed to you, Minister. In your opening remarks, you mentioned something that raised my eyebrows when you said that the mine mustn't tell or implicate themselves. Now the question is, why did you say that? And then my second question to the mine is that I think by now preliminary investigation should be directing you to where this thing what caused this fatal incident. Now my question to you is that what caused this fatal accident, if it's an accident? The preliminary investigation. Thank you, Minister.
Okay, let me give you your answer first. I didn't say the mine must not implicate itself. I said all parties must avoid giving evidence here before there is an investigation and an inquiry. Okay, let me explain it again. There is going to be an investigation. It will be going to be followed by an inquiry. The right area to give evidence is in that investigation, in that inquiry. If you give evidence now, there are two things that can happen. Is not implicating yourself. If you can implicate yourself, you can as well use that evidence as a defense mechanism and actually repel everybody else. Everybody must interact with the information in the inquiry and in the investigation. That's my advice. Not to the mine, to the inspectorate, and to the union. Because otherwise the union can come here and say, this is what happened. And then evidence proves something else. Let's take that thing to the leading of the evidence in the proper investigation. If that raises your eyebrows, it's because you don't understand investigations and inquiries. You think that is a conversation. It's not a conversation. It's a serious matter. 11 people are dead. So you don't just throw around information loosely. You are going to be in trouble, whether you are a trade union or you are a management or you are the government. Allow the formal processes to take their course, follow them through, put your evidence, cross-examine the evidence, and get to the depth of of the issues. I'm sure your eyebrows are down now.
Yes.
Thank you, Minister. Let me quickly deal with that question he asked, because I think it's a very pertinent question. Because you have to look in the timelines. This happened about 6 o'clock last night. We had 86 lives that at that time we believed we could save. It went through the night. The work that was being done to get everybody out finished at 8 o'clock this morning. Now you are asking for a preliminary report. Is that genuinely important for us to give you that? And the minister has given the timelines. The chief inspector has given us the timelines. And I believe that give us as parties to make sure that we give you information that you can communicate to the public, and the public can have integrity in the information that gets gathered. Thank you.
Several minor from SABC. Minister, I just want to understand how often does your department conduct oversight in your mines in order to avoid this kind of a situation? And secondly, to the mine, what kind of a support are you going to give the families who have lost their loved ones, because we believe that they have died in line of duty?
The chief inspector can give you the numbers. Inspectorate and inspecting workplaces is a routine work. That's why we have a fully fledged department of inspector of mines. It is having regional inspectors. It is led by a principal inspector here. They visit the mine regularly. When you get the report on the inspectorates that have been conducted, they go into thousands, because they do that. What you do is to raise awareness about safety. Now, you know, I get worried with a simplistic approach that think that if there can be inspectors who stay in the mine, there will be no accident. That's very simplistic. You go there, you raise awareness. Safety in the mines is not a function of just one thing. It's more a function of management and labor working together. That's why in the law, a worker has a right, it's not a privilege, it's a right to refuse to enter a dangerous place. It's in the law. If I'm working and I see this place is dangerous, I have a right in law never to enter that place. No, this place is dangerous, I don't enter it. And I cannot be penalized for that because it is in the law. And the reason for that is, we know that the responsibility for safety is quite a complex, involved responsibility of everybody involved. As a mine worker, I can tell you that safety of a mine worker depends on the next mine worker. That I know because it is the next mine worker who will see a rock hanging and warn you about it and say, move out of that area. It's another worker. So safety depends on all of us working together, ensuring that there is zero harm.
Just on the question about what we are doing in respect of the families who have lost their loved ones and our employees who are injured and in various hospitals. I do appreciate that you may not have been here when that question was originally asked, and so that your listeners can also have the opportunity to get the response that I gave and the CEO gave earlier, is that our HR department is busy as we speak, either bringing the families to the mine or visiting them where it's feasible for those who have been fatally injured, so that the news can be broken in person. And the whole process that we use as Impala is that the HR departments, together with members of the trade union, shop stewards, they meet with the family members because it's also their members. So that is the first step. And then there are processes in supporting the families on the grieving process, on arranging funerals, and post that there are processes that we deal with. Those who are injured, as I said, there are medical doctors. We've got the chief medical doctor of Impala here, and the teams are out there making sure that everything that can be done. And Nico did explain that we've got a member who've already been airlifted to Mill Park Hospital who is in a more critical condition. But there are others who have been determined on the level of their critical conditions, which hospitals they go to. And also their families are being supported and informed appropriately. So thank you.
And that support is in addition to a statutory requirement, one, to pay a death benefit. It is legislated. It is in addition to paying a compensation for permanent disability in CAD. Those are not going to be put aside because there is support. That support must be on top of that. You cannot take those away. Those workers, those families are entitled to those.
So I just want to touch on a few points. In the event of an injury or fatality of one of our employees, there are a number of statutory obligations that the Minister has referred to. In addition to that, Impala as a company has got additional measures, such as employing family members in place of members that we have lost, such as financial provision for studies of dependents' children. So there's a whole range of measures that we take in addition to all the statutory obligations. There was a question about the impact on the share price. And I just want to respectfully say that whilst we understand and it's natural for the market to have a negative reaction, it cannot be the first priority of this company right now to be concerned about addressing market perceptions or sentiments of shareholders. We fully understand it. We ourselves do not want to be associated with events like this. So our first priority right now is the care of the injured and the deceased and their families and colleagues. Thereafter, it is to prevent a similar occurrence and to ensure safe operations, and in time we will get back to the macroeconomic of our industry and of the company. Now, at risk of giving disclosure, and again I just want to repeat where we are. We had the incident last night. We spent all night getting people out from underground. I've had occasion to walk with Patrick and Moses with our shaft very briefly before we had all the stakeholders gather. So our assessment of the underlying cause is very, very limited. So I do not want to disclose information that is not known to me. What I will say, what we can say, is it is an incident involving a man conveyance in a shaft system. When we operate that equipment in our shafts, they are governed by a whole sequence of safety systems. So, for instance, there is a limitation on the maximum speed that a winder can operate. The winder must turn in the right direction. There are maximum limits to where it can go up or down to in the shaft. If any deviation from the standard design configuration is detected, the safety systems are designed to arrest movement of the conveyance. So, if you have a case that runs away and the safety devices pick it up, it will then apply the brakes to bring the conveyance to a controlled standstill. It is part of our operating procedure to test the safety circuits prior to us starting any of these units. That was in fact done. The conveyance was used throughout the day, and it was advanced through, with the shaft clearance at the end. It was tested prior to it being used, and indications were that all the safety systems were active and operational. So the investigation has to lead us to understand how, with a positive signal on the safety systems, how it happens that in spite of that affirmation from the safety circuitry that you still have an incident whereby you have a conveyance that starts gravitating to the bottom and then gets into an uncontrollable descent and only is stopped by a manual intervention, and why there is no intervention from the safety system. So that, I'm hoping, once the engineering teams has a more detailed understanding of what specifically went, that we will be very happy to come and provide full disclosure to all stakeholders, including the media. Thank you.
No. Thank you for can I have a supplementary question to the question of criminal investigation? Please. I appreciate your response. Now you're saying that we should await the outcome of the investigation report. Now my question to that is that will it be subjected to interrogation, that we are interrogating you with questions, or will it come as a form of a report to say, here's a statement, this is what happened? Because we have seen a trend where in this country where tragic incident will happen and later a statement will come in the form of a report. But now, remember, talking of lives here, talking of people, workers that we attempted to speak or who we spoke to, who are afraid, some of them are physically traumatized. Now the question is, will that report be subjected to interrogation, both from all parties involved, or will it be in a formal report form?
Yes, we gave you two types of investigation. So there is investigation and there is inquiry. That is not done in a dark corner. It's an open process. Half the time, I always expect the union to have their own legal team to cross-examine that. We don't look for that legal team. They look for that legal team. It's a union legal team. The government will be facilitating that process. The company will be giving the evidence, and that evidence will be interrogated. And a report will be a sequel of that process, and it will be published. It happens also that I don't know the trend that you have seen in the country. I'm talking about mining. In mining, that system of inquiry followed by an investigation followed by inquiry is a norm. I don't know the trend you talk about. I'm sure you are not talking about a trend in the mining industry. You talk about general trend in the country. We are going to do what is done is prescribed by law in the mining industry. Okay.
On the note, that brings us to the end of this engagement. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Chief Inspector. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you.